This podcast is brought to you by Podcast Nation.
I don't want to get caught up in trying to sound like anyone else. If I'm going to do this, I need to do this completely as me from the start. I think a lot of people would be like, oh, well, I have to figure out exactly how everyone else is doing it. Just get on the mic and start talking, and you'll get so much better as you go, but you just got to start.
Welcome to Officially Influenced. I'm your host, Clio, founder of Bouge Media and Podcast Nation. This podcast is for creators looking to amplify their message. We're pulling back the curtain on an often mysterious industry to share the insights you need to grow your brand. Let's get into it. Ilana Dunn is the host and creator of Seeing Other People, a podcast that's become a go-to for honest, unfiltered conversations about modern dating, relationships, and emotional growth. Seeing Other People is on the podcast network, and we all love working with her. She is just such a pro. And before launching her podcast, Ilana was working in marketing at Hinge, one of the leading dating apps. While at Hinge, she started building her own voice on social media, sharing relatable dating insights, personal experiences, and advice in a way that felt real and accessible. So from there, Seeing Other People was a natural extension. She launched the podcast to go deeper than short form content allowed, bringing on guests, experts, and sharing real stories to explore dating in a more nuanced, thoughtful way. Since then, she's grown the show into a strong platform and brand known for blending practical advice with emotional honesty and building real influence rooted in trust and relatability. Ilana, welcome to Officially Influenced.
Thank you for having me and for that wonderful introduction. I've been doing this for 5 years and I'm still like, wow, who's she talking about? That person sounds really cool.
You better believe
imposter syndrome has never gone away for me. So thank you for the kind words.
You really are such a pro. Just so refreshing.
The feeling is so mutual.
Also, we were supposed to record in person, but then there was that New York storm and all flights were canceled. So this is going to have to be the second best, but I was really looking forward to recording this in person.
We'll take it. You know what? I started the podcast during COVID. So my bread and butter was virtual recordings, and we got it so far with virtual, and in person's a cherry on the top, but this totally works.
Yeah, we're so lucky that we can do this. So this is great. Okay, so today I really want to dive deeper into why you started your podcast, any advice for podcasters on how to grow a podcast. But I want to start with you and how you became influential when it comes to dating advice and what you're noticing are influencing the dating space, because that's just a topic that really, truly fascinates me, but I'm sure so many other people. So maybe tell us how this all started.
If we rewinded 10 years or even like 7 years and someone were to tell me like, you're going to build a career out of talking about your dating life on a microphone. I mean, there's so much of that wouldn't have made sense to me. First of all, if there's anything I ever wanted to do in my life with a microphone, it was like sing and be Hannah Montana, but I'm tone deaf. So that was never going to work. And talking about my dating life, why in the world would I ever want to do that? But I fell into this role at Hinge where I was the face of the brand on social media. And so I was making all of this content for them, giving people advice on how to date better, how to use the app in a more effective way. And I was there for 2 years. And in my first year there, I had a very strict rule for myself that I did not want anybody to not want to date me because of what I did for a living. And what that meant was I was never going to talk about my personal dating life. I never was going to talk about, I went on a date and this asshole said this, or like, screw this dude who ghosted me after XYZ. I was not okay with that. I saw other people doing that and they were growing so quickly. And I was like, that just doesn't feel like me. I would feel really icky being that way. So for my whole first year there, it was strictly surface level dating advice, nothing at all about my personal dating experiences, relationships. And fast forward, I was going through a breakup and I was in LA visiting my long distance boyfriend. He had just walked out of my hotel room where he broke up with me. And I was supposed to just go create content, encouraging people to go on the date and respond to their match. That felt so inauthentic too, because I'm sitting there sobbing after just getting my heart ripped out of my chest.
Mm.
So I recorded this video that really changed my life. And it was of me saying, like, hey, I know you guys are always coming to me for advice, but I need to turn the tables and come to you guys. You don't know this, but I was in a relationship. I no longer am. And I feel really hopeless right now. And I don't know how to get through this. So if anyone can give me any words of wisdom or advice, I would really appreciate it. And that day changed everything for me because the floodgates in the DMs opened, not of people giving me advice, but of people thanking me for showing that side of it. It was 2018 and people weren't being vulnerable in that way on social media. And as soon as I realized how big of an impact that made, again, not airing out my grievances with people I was going on dates with, but talking about how hard it was for me. Once I realized that that was what helped people the most, I was all in on doing that. And
Mm.
I ended up continuing to do that. I started a podcast for Hinge called Dating Sucks, fell in love with podcasting and being so honest about how my dating life sucked and how everything was a dumpster fire and how much I wanted to learn. And fast forward, I got laid off in November of 2020 and I immediately knew I'm not applying to other jobs. I don't want to go run social for another brand. I found this thing I love to do and I'm going to find a way to make it work. And 2 months later, in January of 2021, I launched Seeing Other People.
Yeah, it's so interesting how events in your life lead to, like the more experiences you have, the more it leads you to what you feel like truly connected to. And I think even here, like you were being really authentic online. And especially back then, I do remember it. Like it was, when Instagram and blogs and Pinterest came out, it really was about like creating that real, like having that perfect life. And no one realized it until some people started being really real and authentic, how much they were craving that. And it's also interesting that it happened right before the pandemic, where people just really wanted to connect with people that were being really real and honest. That experience working at Hinge gave you a front row seat in terms of how people were actually dating, which must have been really fascinating. Was there
Mhm.
anything that you found out from seeing all of this that really surprised you or you think would surprise other people?
I think one thing that has stuck with me from my Hinge days to now is a lot of my audience is women. My audience is probably 70% women in
Mhm.
their 20s and 30s. And I'm surrounded by women in their 20s and 30s. And all of the women seem to think that men have it so easy. What I've
Mm.
found from talking to men is that they're struggling as much as we are. They want to find love as much as we are. I do dating coaching and the majority of my clients are men. And I have
Really?
to remind and tell and inform my female clients about that because they really think that women are the victims of modern dating. And it's so easy for a guy to just go up to somebody and ask for someone's number or be wanted and get matches that are exactly the type of person they would want to date. And I have to say, like, actually, that's not the case at all. The grass is fully always greener on the other side, but really we think that everyone else is having a better experience because those are the people who have decided to not date us. And
Mm.
so I think that's something really important to take away is everyone's experience is challenging in their own way, but we're all doing the best that we can. And so, if a guy says something to you, you're like, "Oh, I wish he like phrased this differently," or "This hurt me," and screw him. It's like maybe he was doing his best too with what he has. He didn't set out to hurt you or to ruin your life.
Yeah.
And I find that we all take things so personally, which I understand. I did too, but
Mhm. Yeah.
it's not personal when someone doesn't really know you yet.
So would you say that there's more pressure on men on dating apps as well? Like I would say like back in the day when we used to date in the real world, this is before dating apps, I definitely would say there's more pressure on men, but I would have thought that that would have definitely subsided quite a bit with apps, but you would say that there's still more pressure on men on the
Yeah.
dating apps. Yeah.
There
Oh,
is. Well,
interesting.
statistically, also, men have a worse experience on apps. They get fewer likes, they get fewer comments, and women are
Oh,
expecting men to do everything still. There are
yeah.
some women who will never send a first message if the world depended on it. They will not
Right.
ask somebody out. And so, over and over and over, the guy has to put themselves out there even more
Yeah.
to all of these people that he doesn't know to potentially get rejected 100 times before getting one yes, while the women are sitting there like, oh, why hasn't he asked me out yet? Or, he matched with me, but he hasn't messaged me yet. Okay, you're capable too. You can also do it. If you want to talk to him, go talk to him.
Yeah, and the more you get rejected, the more it actually affects your ego, which every time makes it harder. So I could see how it's harder for men to, in terms of like their experience and why they don't like it as much.
Yeah. And
Um,
then they have to go on the date, pay for the date, even though maybe the woman 10 minutes in already knows there's never going to be a second date over and
yeah.
over and over.
Oh, poor guys. Come on. Let's give them a break.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why customers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
So, what ended up setting you apart was your willingness to be open. You talked about rejection, anxiety, the emotional side of dating that a lot of people, especially back then, didn't say out loud. So, you've been authentic with your audience, and that resonated. So, when you put it out there, you were single and you were working in the dating space. But do you think you would have had the same response if you had been in a relationship? Like if that hadn't happened, or if you were married, like do you think your work experience would have been enough, or do you think that personal experience really influenced that connection with your audience?
I think the timing of it all, and especially the timing of when I started seeing other people, did play a huge role. I launched Seeing Other People in January. I
Mhm.
went on my first date with my now husband in February. And a lot of the listeners who were around from the beginning had seen me over the past year through the previous podcast, through my Hinge content, talking about what was going on in my dating life. And they knew how badly I wanted to find love. And they knew how hard of a time I was having with it. And that I had really, really been put through the ringer in dating. So
Mhm.
not only did they get to see this relationship actually unfold, but they understood how much I struggled. And I actually was worried about this. I always thought, like, oh my God, if this relationship pans out, is it going to make me less relatable? Like, my whole brand is about dating. And
Yeah.
I started asking my listeners and my followers this, and they were like, no, Ilana, if you can do it, anyone can do it. Like, you give us hope because we know how big of a dumpster fire your dating life was.
Interesting. Yeah, that's such a good perspective because I do think a lot of times, like especially if you have an online brand, you're known for one thing and you think that your audience is connecting with you because of that. But like everybody evolves and some people do, I think, hide that part until they feel like they're ready, like they really have to think about it in their head. But I think again, at the end of the day, if you're being real with what's happening in your life, it is people that were in the same spot as you and they see you move on to the next thing or how that
Mhm.
evolves. It can give people hope. Or at the end of the day, I think especially with podcasting, you listen to someone feeling like they're your friend and you always want to see your friends succeed and cheer them on. And
Yeah.
so I think it's like really important to remember that because that is a stressful place to be when you have a brand and you feel like
Yeah.
you've maybe outgrown your audience, but it's not looking at it in that lens. It's just more taking them on the journey and again being authentic to where you are in that place in your life.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, the whole time I've tried to not lose sight of what my goal has been. And yes, the podcast has evolved. I now have a weekly episode with Jake about our marriage. The podcast has
Yeah.
very much evolved. And I make sure that I'm still talking about dating anxiety every single week. I make sure that I'm still sharing stories from when I was single and not only just talking about how I felt and what I went through, but bringing other people on to share their experiences so that people don't feel like, well, this started as a dating podcast, but now it's all about her happy marriage. Because how would
Yeah.
that be productive to my original why, which was to help people feel less alone and more empowered in their dating
Yeah.
lives? And that hasn't changed.
How have you navigated that change? That's quite a different podcast, that now that you're that podcasting with Jake about your marriage. How did you transition that? Were you really active about like putting it out there and listening to your followers, seeing comments? How did you feel that happened for you?
So Jake came on a few times a
Mhm.
year, starting probably like 6 months into our relationship, maybe like once or twice a year. And everyone loved those episodes. And it was around this time last year where we were trying to think about like ways he's always been very into the podcast from our first date. He was so intrigued and like wanted to know all about it and be not like involved, but help
Your
me
number
with
one fan.
ideas. And yeah, exactly. Exactly. So we were talking about like what's missing from the podcast. And what I felt was missing was the week to week, what's actually going on. Cause a lot of my episodes have guests and a lot of my episodes are pre recorded. And what I like to listen to when I consume other people's podcasts is the week to week banter of someone and their best friend or someone and their husband. And I'm like, that's what I feel like is missing. And so we started it actually as a Patreon episode weekly. And I think we did about 10 of those when we were like, this just needs to be a part of it. It's going really well. There's nothing wrong with it being on Patreon, but these episodes are amazing. And everyone who's listening on Patreon is loving them and we're having fun doing it. We've proven that we can stick to it and be consistent and we find joy in it. And at the end of the day, like since day one, we've always said, even if no one listens to these episodes on Mondays, it's like a diary for us. And so there's value in us doing it.
Mhm.
And I ended up just saying on a whim, like, let me put it on the podcast. We have Tuesday and Thursday episodes. Let's throw this on Mondays. We'll record 2 or 3 days before. So it's very in the moment. And now it's evolved to like, we have back and forths answering listener questions and then getting follow ups week after week after week from these same people who want to keep us in the loop as to like what's going on in their situations. And we've just formed such a routine around it. And I absolutely love it and can't now imagine the podcast without it.
Well, that's the best part, that you love it. And we say, like, you gotta love what you're doing because you're doing this.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work and it's ongoing. But I love that it feels right. But also, I really like that you took that approach of testing it. Like, truthfully, like the way that you did it, you ended up testing it on Patreon, seeing how it felt for you, how it sounded. You could see it being integrated in the podcast and also having like your biggest followers and listeners input. And, like
Mhm.
we say, like, your podcast is your business, right? So it's like, you notice these episodes are doing well. Were you looking at like analytics in terms of when Jake would come on versus others or guests? Is that something that you took into consideration as well?
A little bit. Like when I was
Mm.
thinking about like, oh, should we do this weekly? I did look back at like top
Yeah.
episodes and notice that episodes that he was in, people did listen to more. And that at the end of the day wasn't the deciding factor for me. As much as I would love to be an amazing businesswoman who is all about growth all the time, I really am more substance focused. And
Mhm.
I've also just heard year after year from people who have said to me, like, I want to hear more about your relationship, or I don't have anyone close to me who's in the type of relationship that I would want mine to emulate. And that's not to say Jake
Mhm.
and I have a perfect relationship or that everyone should try
For
and be in a
sure.
relationship like ours. But there is something to be said about listening to other people in the life stage and in the situation that you want to be in. And that was also, again, like the podcast I was listening to before I was engaged. I listened nonstop to Betches Brides. And then I got married, but not pregnant, don't have a baby. And I listened to Alex Bennett's Two Parents and a Pod about her and her now fiance and their baby. And it's like, I like to listen to these like next stage of my life
Yeah.
podcasts. And I'm like, wait a second, shouldn't I be giving that to my listeners then if that's what I like? So yeah, that's kind of just how it happened. And I really didn't think too much about it. It was more like, this is fun.
Mhm.
We like doing this. Jake's on board. It doesn't feel like he has a gun to his head to do it. So why not try it out? And if we end up getting bored of it or people are like, we don't
Mm.
listen to this, then we can reevaluate.
Oh, and how fun that you guys get to do that together. I'm sure that's something like as a
Yeah.
couple that probably brings you closer. It's almost like a little mini therapy session without even realizing it.
Yeah. Most couples, believe it or not, don't sit down uninterrupted, no
Yeah,
phones for an hour to just talk every week.
I know. That's crazy. I'm like, now
So
everyone's going to start a podcast with their husbands. I feel like that,
I
that would
mean,
be
why
fun too.
not? Go for
Yeah,
it.
why not? So, what would you say is the difference between having followers and having influence?
Mm, that's a great question. I think having followers is not hard to do. There are a lot of ways to get videos to go viral. There are a lot of ways to kind of hack the algorithm and get people to follow you. But if those people don't actually care about you,
Mhm.
then you're never going to impact them in any way. I think having influence means having a connection that has built trust and allows your audience to really feel like they know you, they understand you, and you're looking out for their best interest. Whether that's in the form of sharing links to products that you think they will like because they see what you do and what you wear and what you consume, and they think, oh, that person has similar taste, or that is aspirational to me and I want that, or the advice you give, the way you show up. Listen, like anyone can buy followers, anyone can buy an account that has followers, anyone can hire someone else to run their social and grow a following. But if you're not the one showing up and really putting yourself out there day after day, you're not actually going to have any influence.
And is there one thing that you can think of that attributes to really like the longevity and the growth of your podcast when you think of all the different things that you've like done or tried?
I think two things. I think one is simply the fact that I kept going. Most people
Yeah.
just stop. The
Oh,
majority of
yeah.
people who start podcasts just stop.
It's actually a very high number. Yeah.
Yeah, most.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing is truly just the consistency and
Hmm.
reliability that it's a
Yeah.
Tuesday, it's a Thursday, it's a Monday, there's a Seeing Other People episode coming out. But I really think on a deeper level, it's that I've completely been myself. And I have been so open about every stage of life I've been in. I've been open about like, oh, guys, like I've really made no money this year. Like it's a bad year. And
Yeah.
if anyone knows any brands that want to partner with me, like there have been times where I've gotten on the microphone and I've posted on my Instagram and said, like, hey, I'm not having a positive experience in terms of my business right now. If anyone knows anyone that would like to be involved, let me know. And it's worked. People have responded to that and been like, oh, well, we love your content. We love your podcast. We know someone who works in brand partnerships at XYZ brand. So I think instead of pretending everything's always amazing, I've shared when I've been burnt out. I've shared when I've been heartbroken. I've shared when
Mhm.
I've been going through a really difficult life change or health situation. And I think that has just kept people coming back because they know that I'm being completely myself. And I'll meet people on the street all the time. It's the coolest thing in the world. And then they'll tell me after, like, you were exactly like I thought you were. And
Yes.
yes, I think that's like the biggest compliment, but I'm also like, yeah, obviously, I can't be somebody else. This is me. I'm giving everyone all of me. And I think that's kind of what we owe to people if we're doing this for a living.
Well, that was going to be something I wanted to ask you on the podcast because you are so vulnerable and raw. I was like, is there anything that you do decide to keep private? And so, or are you just like fully an open book?
Great question. I've never been one to talk about my sex life outwardly, whether that's been while I've been in a long term serious relationship slash now marriage or before. It's private to me and also to whoever else is involved.
Yeah.
Again, going back to that icky word, that's just how it felt for me. But I filter everything through my mom is going to hear this and my husband's mom is going to hear this. What do I not want them to know? Yeah, that's what I run it through.
That's awesome. I'm also very much an open book, but it just reminded me of something like my sister had given me an advice. Someone had told her, they're like, in your relationship, they're like, it's obviously so good to be very honest with each other. It's like, but my one tip for success is always keep some kind of mystery. And it doesn't have to be like secrets or these like things
Right.
that you don't tell your partner that you should, but in a way, like just keeping some things that just are for yourself and it ends up being a bit maybe mysterious without your partner even realizing it. And it's like what
Mhm.
you're doing as well, a little bit with your
Yeah.
followers, but
People get
keeping
to
just a
know
little
most
mystery.
things about me, but not everything. Also, like, I'm
I
not
like
like a
that.
I'm not that exciting. Like I'm not, like if people really need to know that about me, they have bigger things going on in their life that they need to figure out.
Yeah, you're like, you know what? I will send you a few sex podcasts that you can listen to. There you
Exactly.
go.
There's so much out there. It
Yes.
doesn't have to be about me.
If you would start your podcast today, is there anything that you would do differently? Obviously, like you've been in it, like you're like an OG podcaster, like you've been in it for so long. The
Yeah.
space, the industry has changed so much. Is there, yeah, anything that you can think of that you would do differently?
I really wouldn't. I think my favorite thing that I did that I absolutely would recommend to people when I went to my boss at Hinge and said, I want to start a podcast, I had never listened to a podcast. And
We've
the,
had a few of those before. Yeah, it's
yeah,
so interesting.
the project got approved and I was like, oh man, do I need to go like study podcasts now? Should I be like studying and listening to all of these different podcasts and dating podcasts and relationship podcasts? And I was like, you know what? I don't want to subconsciously get caught up in trying to sound like, act like, talk like, look like, be like anyone else because that's not who I am. I'm me. And if I'm going to do this, I need to do this completely as me from the start. I think a lot of people would be like, oh, well, I have to, figure out exactly how everyone else is doing it and follow other people's formats to a T because theirs is successful. And so I need to replicate it. Like, just get on the mic and start talking. It'll come and you'll get so much better as you go, but you just got to start.
Yeah, like speaking of influence, that's a perfect way of being like how you didn't want to be influenced by other shows because it
Yeah.
does then skew your perspective. And I do think that there is something special about that because you did it truly your way. You did it just like yourself, what felt right to you. And I bet you that that's what brought that flair of Ilana and authenticity and different than what other podcasts that people were listening to. That's a great piece of advice.
Thank you. This is very exciting and I haven't announced this yet on social or on the podcast, but I'll say it here.
Oh my gosh, do tell us.
My alma mater, Syracuse University, reached out to me and asked me to teach a course on podcasting.
That's amazing. Oh my, well, I mean, they picked the right person. That's amazing. You're going to
So
crush it.
thank you. Professor
You're,
Ilana, coming to
oh,
you
Professor,
summer
that's awesome.
2026 and beyond.
Well, I think you'll be so good. Anyone who gets to take your class will be really lucky because you're just, again, it's like you just say it how it is, but you're such a hard worker. You're going to be so prepared. Can I be a student?
No, maybe not.
No.
Maybe some other time. But no, I'm very excited. That's like the coolest thing to me. And another
Yeah.
thing that I never imagined I would be doing with my life that now I'm like, this makes so much sense.
Well, again, it's interesting when you do something that just like you are so excited and passionate about, and it just translates. Like you just don't know what doors are going to open.
Yeah.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
This is a good segue into more the business side of podcasting. How do you approach partnerships without losing trust with your audience?
I think it's for like remembering they're people who trust me and I want to keep them trusting me. So, first of all, if there's a brand that I'm like, why would I ever promote this or this does not feel aligned at all,
Hmm.
the paycheck isn't worth it. It's not
Yeah.
worth it. It's not worth a few hundred, a few $1,000s to alienate your audience or to lose their trust or to have them be like, why is this ad on Ilana's podcast? Like, what? Ilana, why did you say yes to that? That confuses me. I think we've all had experiences where our favorite influencers or actors, actresses, singers, podcasters, whoever it is, teams up with a brand that feels so misaligned. And it's just like, why did they do that? I don't want my audience to have to question it. I want them to be like, oh, this makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think that's been a big obvious thing to me. And then I think also just in the way that I talk about the product, whether it's in an ad read on the podcast or in a video on Instagram, like I want it to feel authentic. You'll always see me if I'm working with a brand. I'm either tying something back to dating advice, to my relationship, to my daily life, or to running, which is a huge part of my life now. So it's really something that fits in. And what I think is actually the coolest thing is that there have been so many brands that I had never used their products before. They reached out to partner and then they reached out to partner. I started trying their products and now it's like a huge part of my daily life. And those are the ones where I'm like, wow, like not only is like my team who is pitching and securing these deals, like doing so many things right for that to happen, but also I am attracting the right brands by being myself.
Yeah. That's a good point too, because not necessarily like I think people like understand that podcasting takes a lot of work and it does become a business and you want to monetize it, but it's like just being really cognizant of like trying the product, making sure that you love it, but also it doesn't mean that it has to be products that you've been using forever. I've also tested out products because I'm like, oh, I heard it on a podcast and I'll try it, and then you love it and it becomes part
Mhm.
of your daily routine. Like you're also finding brands that you love?
Jake always jokes that nobody is more influenced by my influencing than me. So many brands, even like after the partnership is over, I end up month after month after month, like using my own money to keep buying the thing.
Yeah, he's like, so that paycheck that you got from them, you just spent
All
it
went
the
right
whole
back
way. Yeah,
in.
yeah.
Circle of life. Yep.
But hey, it worked.
It worked. It
And
worked.
one thing that we've really tried to do at Podcast Nation since launching the network is obviously we came from an influencer agency side of the business. And we really try to sell more integrated 360 campaigns for our hosts. You know, when you really love a product, it should be across your channels and it should be like an integrated campaign. But we've just been really surprised at how long it's taken. I think it's obviously just like the way the industries work. There's audio buying agencies, there's social buying agencies, and then we try to ask them to connect us, but they're just like, it's not even within the department, right? It's just different agencies. So
Mhm.
it's just taken longer, but I think we're starting to see a bit more traction in that space. And then you also do social media influencer partnerships. Like, what are your thoughts about that? Like, if a brand is listening, why would you recommend it or not to a brand?
I think it's a no-brainer. I get the logistical complication of these are two completely separate worlds in terms of their business structure, but they're missing out on such incredible organic opportunities by not having those two agencies or those two teams working in tandem. Because we all know the stat, like it takes 7 times of seeing an ad to even like remember the product. So if I listen to someone's podcast, I also almost definitely follow them on Instagram. And so if I see they post a story about something and then I hear them talking about that product on their podcast, and then the next week I see them post a reel about it, and then they're talking about it again on the podcast, then I'm like, oh, this is actually a really big part of this person's ethos. Now I'm paying attention because I keep hearing about this thing. So I really think it's such a big missed opportunity to not be doing this. And it also makes it more a part of the creator's life because they're now immersed in this product, in this clothing brand, in this meal kit because they're talking about it all the time. Then people are going to start asking, oh, do you actually use this? And they're going to now have all these different stories of all the different times they've used it. And it just becomes such a part of them. And people start to associate, oh, Ilana and brewmate. Ilana's
Yeah.
always has her brewmate cup with her. It's always in her content. It's always there on screen when she's recording her podcast. She's talking about how she has Jake refill her brewmate every night before bed. And when she wakes up to a full brewmate. It's always around her. Oh, I saw an ad, like a sale for a brewmate. Oh, well, I know Ilana loves this. Maybe I should get one and see what all the hype is about.
Yeah, and it's maybe might not be that purchased by it that second that they're listening to the ad, but it is
Yeah.
that constant. And I also think it really allows for the creator to then become more creative with their content because
Definitely.
I think if like the brand has faith and like they know that this creator really loves the product, let them see how they integrate it all together and it become more about a story about how they integrate in their lives rather than okay, these are the talking points that obviously there's talking points that need to be hit, but it's not about that. It's more about the integration of how they truly use it on an everyday basis.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Well, are you ready for some rapid fire questions?
I'm so bad at rapid fire, but I also love it at the same time. Let's do it. I'll try my very best.
We just have a few because it can get they can get out of control.
Let's go.
What is your favorite podcast right now? Obviously, other than yours.
This is a really, really bad answer. I am
I can't
currently
wait.
not listening to podcasts.
Okay, you're taking a break.
Probably going on like month 4 of a break right now, where the only podcasts I've been listening to have been a friend as a podcast. You launched Officially Influenced. I'm like, I got to check this out. It's Clio. Like, got to listen. Or I'm prepping for a recording and I'm listening to the guest on other podcasts. Those are the only times I'm listening to podcasts right now. I switched to audiobooks a few months ago and I've been really enjoying that right now.
It's nice to keep it fresh,
Yeah.
switch things up. What
Yeah.
audio book are you listening to right now? Are you listening to one
I
now?
just finished Remarkably Bright Creatures, which is partially narrated by an octopus.
Oh,
And it was a wonderful book. I today started The Lion Woman of Tehran. which a friend said was like one of the best books she's ever read. So excited to listen to that.
I've heard that book's amazing.
Yeah.
So you'll have to report back.
I shall.
Do you have a best first date recommendation?
Just get to the date. Don't overcomplicate it. There's no like best first date activity, best drink to order on a first date, best outfit to wear. Go in whatever you feel like yourself in and just do the date and don't overthink it. The best first dates are based on the conversation.
And if you have a spark with someone on that first date, are you kiss or no kiss kind of gal?
I definitely kissed a lot of people on first dates. Go for it. If a kiss doesn't happen, nothing wrong with that. Jake and I did not kiss on our first date. We had the awkward getting a taxi home, saying bye while the car's pulling up, kind of awkwardly hugging, and then being like, okay, bye. And it was at the end of our second date. He called an Uber. We were at my apartment, COVID. It was outdoor dining in February. We learned on the first date. That was not fun. So he came over for our second date. So he was ordering an Uber. His Uber was about to come. And I was like, this hasn't happened yet. I'm going away for 2 weeks. I'm going to be like panicking. So I made the move at the end of our second date.
Nice. Oh, that's good for you.
Thank you. I agree.
Who's influencing you right now?
Who is influencing me right now? A lot of runners. My whole feed is runners right now. Runners who are wearing like really fun, bright outfits and who are not that fast.
I love this.
It's very specific. Very specific.
Not very fast runners who wear very bright clothes. I can share some of these with me. I'll follow them.
I'll send them your way.
Okay, thank you. Well, and I don't know if it has to do with running as well, but is there a product right now that you're just obsessed with?
I am really big on my Brewmate, as mentioned. A product that I'm obsessed with right now, my Elemis Marine Cream with SPF is like no other face product I've ever used. It feels so good. It's expensive, but it feels expensive. And it's really like good for my skin. That is one that like every time I justify in a heartbeat, like I'm going to keep buying this.
Okay, I'm officially influenced. You need to send me the link.
Got you.
Ilana, thank you so much again for taking the time today. I am going to make my way to New York. And like I was saying, we can just have fun and not have to worry about work at all.
Amazing. I cannot wait. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you. This was so much fun and have a good rest of the day.
You too.